Hi, so welcome back to my 100th video. Can't believe it's got to that number. Thanks for views and questions and all the rest of it. This week we are doing one of my favourite categories, the player's distance irons. So these are clubs that someone like myself, a club pro, has actually ended up using. So I don't get to play as much as I would like, and I still like the look of a really good bladed tight club, but I really need the help that something like this gives me. So they have stronger lofts, which means I can use slightly less club than I'm used to. When I go back to more traditional irons, the loft on a 7-iron might be about 34. These are 30.5. In fact, the Callaway is 29. But they all enable me to hit one less club. And whenever I go back to thinner looking, nicer bladed, fully forged irons, always have to end up hitting more club. Now, some people think that's just a sort of ruse and that you're kidding yourself. But in actual fact, you're using a shorter length club when you're using these as well. So you're still using the 7-iron traditional length, but you've got a little bit less loft on it, so you can use less club. And when a club's got less length, it becomes easier to hit the middle. It's the same with drivers. A lot of people should probably cut a little bit off their driver if they want to hit the middle more and ultimately get more distance, because centeredness of strike is one of the main contributing factors to distance. So these clubs, we've got the P790 from Taylormade, that's the 2023 model, we've got the Paradym from Callaway, we've got the Titleist T200, and we've got the Wilson D9 forged. So they're all similar. The Titleist, the Callaway and the Taylormade all use tungsten and various other urethane and similar type materials to soften the sound and vibration that comes through. They all have a forged face, which is supposed to give you a softer feel. They all have hollow bodies, which means that they're still very forgiving. There's lots of technology inside. 3 of them use tungsten, the Wilson doesn't, and that's a very expensive material. It's very heavy, and they can put that in places where they really need to help you hit more consistent shots. You do find that these are really forgiving and very long and still have pretty much the kind of footprint and look of a better player's club, a thinner, more bladed iron. So one of the most important things on a club like this is the top line and how thin it is. So these have a slightly thicker top line than some people would like, and that might be the reason that some people just can't get into this category. So they might be quite a low handicap player, but when they look down it just looks a little bit too thick for them. I actually don't mind it. If I'm saying what the best top line out of these looks like, I would probably say it's a close run thing between the Titleist and the Wilson D9 forged. I think they have the thinnest top line. I think the Taylormade and the Callaway have a slightly thicker top line, but it's still not bad. The other thing they don't have is a lot of offset, so they don't have the leading edge set back from the shaft to help offset a slice. That again is a trait of a better player's club, so they all come out. Bottom of the shaft comes down and the leading edge basically leads out straight from the bottom of the shaft. The one with the most offset on this, it's difficult to say. They're very similar. Possibly the Titleist looks like it's got similar to the D9 forged. It's marginal. There really isn't a lot in it. There isn't a lot of offset at all on them. I wouldn't like them if they had a lot of offset. I don't like offset. It's debatable how much difference offset makes actually in the tests that I've done. It's supposed to help higher handicappers, but to be honest, I hit clubs in here, test clubs with offset, and it doesn't make that much of a difference. That's the top line, so probably the Titleist wins that, very closely followed, well, probably equal with the D9 forged, so it's a draw. And then after that I would say probably the Taylormade has it over the Paradym in terms of top line. The back of the clubs, I would say that the winner for me is probably the P790, followed by possibly the Titleist and then the Wilson. The Wilson is in the last throes of its life. There will be a new model of this coming out next year, so you can pick this up for an absolute snip at the moment. I mean, you're looking at the Taylormade, the Callaway and the Titleist all a similar price, all about £1,200–1,300 per set, and then the Wilson, when it was new and when it comes out again, will be probably £300 cheaper than that, at least, maybe even £400 cheaper than that. I mean, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that the others do, so it's not featuring tungsten, it doesn't have loads of elastomer and whatnot going on inside it, speed foam, that sort of thing like the Taylormade has. But as you'll find out in this test, because I've tested it before, it performs extremely well and it does feel very nice as well. So they're all quite similar apart from price, and probably the odd one out in terms of technology is that the Wilson doesn't have have quite as many things going on as the others do. But we'll see how they get on. I'm going to try and hit limited shots here because I have a habit of going on and on and on, as you might have just noticed from this intro. Try and keep it to sort of 5-6 shots, hit well from each club, and then compare the data and see what I think, and talk about the feel and the sound and the look as I'm hitting them. So I'm going to start with the Paradym from Callaway. So it has a forged face and various tungsten weighting, speed frame to give structure to the face and keep that soft thin face in place and have support. So they're looking for fast speed but soft feel and a lot of forgiveness on mishit. So yeah, it's a nice looking head. I'm not a massive fan of the back here. It looks a little bit too much like a higher handicappers club for me. I would like to see a little bit less going on there. Maybe I'm not a huge fan of the blue in there, but some people would like that. I keep saying that, you know, looks are purely up to you. I mean, you know what you like, and I know what I like. I can say it here, but it doesn't mean anything because you might decide that this looks fantastic and you think it's better than all of the others. So it's really what it feels like and how it goes. I would say at address, it's a fair comment that it's a slightly thicker top line than some of them, but it's still nice. I mean, it still looks nice. It's not offensive in any way, and it looks like a better players club in terms of the offset and the top line. I think I've pushed that out to the right a bit. This is 29 degrees, so it's a little bit stronger, 1.5 degrees stronger. That's gone 193 total, 179 in the air, 5,100 spin. So for something that I pushed right, I can't believe how far that's gone. And that was off the bottom of the club, clean strike, and that's gone 168. 5,800, sorry, 156 in the air, so massive difference because they didn't strike it well. In fact, let's take that out. So keep the 193 and I'm going to keep 5 good ones. And that felt toey to me. So given the forgiveness side of it a workout here, not on purpose. So that's gone 173 in there, 186, total 5,100 spin, 17 degree launch. All right, it was reasonably straight, didn't catch it. I'll leave that one in, it's good enough. Not brilliant, but not terrible. A bit left, not too bad. 175 in the air, 191, 4,400 spin. Yeah, it was a kind of a drop kicky one. But it's quite far, so we'll leave it in, even though the spin's probably a bit lower. Again, a bit thin. Not a good batch here for the Callaway, I'm afraid. I mean, it's doing well for not hitting it. It's gone 170 carry again, 184, 5,000 spin, and quite straight. I'm looking for one decent one out the middle would be good, just to add into the mix. Don't worry, there'll be plenty bad strikes with the other ones as well. A purer strike, I've let it go out to the right a little bit. That's gone 169 in the air, 181. Right, I'll tell you what, I'll take the worst one out and put another one in. Actually, no, I've changed my mind. I think they're all round about at least 170 carry. So I'm going to leave them in and we'll compare that with the rest of them because I don't think that'll be far off the mark. In terms of feel, it does feel soft. It's slightly difficult to say because I didn't hit them unbelievably well. Just try and hit one more where I get out the middle. I'll tell you about the feel. Oh, that was out the middle. And that did feel nice. I mean, as I've said before, any golf club hit out the middle is quite a nice thing to behold, but forged faces, there's definitely something about it that feels softer. If I cast my mind back to the last time I played with my own D9 forged, I'm not sure that feels softer. If anything, it might be a tiny bit harder, but it's so hard to tell. It's not far off, so it was decent. Right, I need to take that out though. Or should we leave that in? Should we leave that in and take one of the worst ones out? Yeah, let's do that. Right, so Titleist T200 this time. So I haven't really tested this. This is just recently into me. Really looks nice, really nice premium sort of look. The Titleist stuff really does look good. A real sort of high class premium finish to it. As I said, I think top line's definitely thinner than the Paradym. So they've got that right. I've obviously worked hard and know that that is a really important factor for the people in this category picking a club. Top line's going to be one of the main things they look at, and that is really, really thin. And doesn't look particularly big, the blade. Some of these clubs can look quite big, but this doesn't. It's a nice size. Well, that wasn't amazing. I don't think I struck that amazing, but 4,700 spin, 167 in the air, 180, so it wasn't 100%, but it's not bad. You've got to remember these are about 1.5 degrees weaker than the Paradym I've just been hitting. Oh, that felt nice. A little bit left, so that'll be quite strong, I would think. Always goes further when you hit it left. 177, 191. 5,100 spin. Felt nice though, it was out the middle and it felt really quite soft. Think about that left as well. Oh, not as much. Didn't feel quite as flushed as the other one. Oh, mind you, 184, 4,700 spin, so a wee bit drop kicky and gone quite far because of it. I'm quite impressed with how far they're going, although I did turn these over a bit, so let's try and not do that on this one. I got a bit thin, similar to a lot of the Paradym ones I hit. It's gone nice and straight at least. 171, 183, so yeah, performed similar. Pretty good considering it's weaker. That's probably out to the right a wee bit, trying not to hook it. Oh, not bad, a little bit leaky. 168 in the air, 180, so yeah, similar. So we're getting a lot of, everything was over 170 carry with the Paradym. Okay, a little bit drop kicky again, so didn't get a lot of spin on it. 4,800, 175 in the air, 189. So I'll maybe hit one more just to see if I can get one right out of the middle again and just talk about the feel. So that felt quite good. So 176, 189, does feel nice, does feel very soft off the face. I would say possibly a little bit softer feeling than the Paradym, but you're talking infinitesimal amounts, it's not a lot. But in terms of the looks and in terms of how it did, distance-wise, I was really impressed with it. It seems to really come off the face fast, and considering it's less it's higher lofted than the Paradym, it shouldn't go as far, but it was pretty much keeping up with it, which is impressive. So Taylormade P790, tested this before quite a few times. This is the new model, hardly looks any different to the last one. They all look good. Let me remind myself what it goes like. So top line, probably the thickest out of the bunch, but not by much, and it's still nice. It still sits, there's very little offset. I could live with this, no problem. I think it's a nice looking head, especially the back of it, I think it looks really good. But top line is not a problem, it's nice. It's just a little bit thicker than the ideally you'd want it, but it's in no way offensive again. So it's fine. And the head doesn't look too big either. Didn't sound as soft as the others, and this is my recollection from hitting it before, that it's the least soft feeling of the forged face ones that I've hit. 173, 187, so good figures. 4,700 spins. It wasn't a great strike obviously. Let's see if we can flush one a bit more. Nope, a little bit out to the right. Right, might leave that one because that's 168 carry, and I think I've gone 170 with most of the others. 170 is a minimum requirement to be counted. That was a nice feeling hit, but it's definitely a bit higher pitched sounding, I would say, than the other two. So that's a pretty good strike. 174 in the air, 187, 5,500 spin. But it's definitely not quite as soft, only thing. Again, quite a decent strike it felt like, but didn't feel quite as smooth and soft off the face. 173, 186. See, I think I'm getting these all pretty good, but they're just not quite feeling like the other ones did. So 170, 183, minimum requirement. And the last one, a little bit toey maybe. See how it does on a slight miss hit. Still gets to 170, 185, so it's decent. There's a little bit low spin, 4,700, but it didn't hit it 100%. It does perform very well. I mean, like all of these clubs, they're really quite forgiving. And then there's just slight differences in how they feel. So I hit a few with the Wilson just to remind myself. So D9 forged, yeah, nice top line, nice look, nice chrome sort of finish. Always been a nice looking club. I've used this for the last couple of years and I really like it. I tried the CB, but it's a club less every time on the D9 forged. So, and I just couldn't handle that psychologically. It was too depressing. Every time you hit the CB, you had to go up a club. And even though the lofts are not far off the same, it was just feeling like psychologically we're having to hit more club, it was more difficult, and the fact that it was a longer shaft, wasn't hitting the middle of the club as often. I find I score better, do better with the D9 forged, even though CBs do look a little bit nicer. Nice soft feel. Only 167, bit spinny, 5,900 spinny for this loft. Still nearly got to 170. Shall we take it out? I said 170, didn't I? Minimum. Yeah, nice. It's always been one of the softest feeling ones out of this lot. And I don't know how that is because it doesn't have as much fancy pants stuff in it. 167, 180, right? I better just leave that or we'll be here all night trying to get to 170. But I can normally hit this the same distance as everything else. It is 30.5 degrees, same as the Titleist and the Taylormade. Again, decent stripe. I've shoved it out to the right a little bit. 169, 181. So I'm struggling to get quite up to the figures of the others. Right, so another couple of shots with the Wilson. Oh, lovely strike and felt so nice. No wonder I was using this set. And there you go, 175, 188. So it's up there with the rest of them when you hit it. Is it maybe not quite as forgiving? When I haven't hit it, hasn't quite got the 170 possible. Felt okay, I think. A little bit left, is it? Not bad. No, pretty straight. It's like a 176, 190, so it's every bit as good. Right, let's leave that one there because we know about that one. I'm impressed with it. Okay, so if we have a look at the stats, the Callaway was first and the ball speeds are all similar, 119, 119, 117, 118, so not a lot of difference there. Could have been to do with strike a bit, but we had the Callaway and the Titleist in first place on 119 ball speed. Launch, again, a little bit depending on how I hit them, but they're all within similar amounts. Backspin, 4952, 4952, so again, a little bit strike related, similar. The carry on the Callaway is 175, 174 on the Titleist, Taylormade's 172 and 172 on the Wilson. So again, very, very similar. Callaway's got it slightly, but then it's 1.5 degrees stronger. Total distance, which I know a lot of you think is an absolute load of rubbish, but actually does work in Scotland, on the east coast of Scotland, because the ball does take quite a long time to settle down. 189, 187, 186, 185, so similar again. So they're settling down at similar rates. So the upshot of it all is there isn't very much difference between them all, which brings you to the conclusion of just buy the Wilson because it's the cheapest. But that's not the way it works. If you don't like the look of the Wilson, then that's one reason you wouldn't get it. But if you also don't want the brand Wilson, then it'll be a no-go completely. And some people, it just won't be premium enough. There won't be enough tour usage of Wilson to allow them to go down that street. But they do make extremely good irons, and they've actually started making really good drivers this year as well. So the whole brand for me is on the up, Wilson. The Callaway, again, if you like the look of it, crack on, because it is the strongest lofted. You probably have to hit the least club compared to all these because it probably will, like for like, go a little bit further. It does feel soft, even though maybe not quite as soft as the Titleist and the Wilson. In terms of softness, if I was ranking them, I would say probably Wilson first. I'm just being honest. I mean, I might be changing from Wilson next year, so I'm not actually doing it just because I play Wilson myself. Titleist second, probably Paradym third, and P790 last on softness of feel off the face. In terms of forgiveness, it was difficult. It's always difficult to tell because I'm a human being and I'm not a robot. I'm not hitting it in the same position each time to determine exactly what the forgiveness is like. I can just tell you from my own gut feeling that they all felt pretty forgiving. I'd struggle to really single one out. Maybe if I was, it might just be in my head, but I kind of feel like maybe the Paradym's got the most technology in terms of trying to keep you straight, but Taylormade and Titleist would both argue against that and say, well, what are you talking about? We've got every bit as much in there as they have. That's just me trying to make a decision when really there isn't any stats to go on. In terms of like the looks, I think the Titleist probably wins it in terms of like the overall top line and the better player look. It has a little bit more of that. In terms of the back, it looks really quite sleek and uncluttered and nice, very premium. Top line is really very impressive for a club that goes as well as this and is as forgiving as this. But then the Wilson's pretty close behind it as well. And then the other two are just a little bit thicker. But again, perfectly nice, perfectly nice. So if I was recommending one at the higher end, I would probably say the Titleist, just from the fact that the feel was a little bit softer, or maybe the looks has the thinnest top line. And then I would say in terms of value, the Wilson, but they're all good. You won't go wrong no matter which one you go for, and it is a brilliant category. So that'll do me for now. The battery's running out anyway. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments and I'll get back to you, and I will see you in the next one, the 101st video. Thanks very much.